Good evening, everybody. We are meeting with Jennifer-Rapp-Peterson to talk about your website and what a website should look like. And, you know, one of the challenges, I think, with websites is that what people are looking for in websites seems to change perpetually over periods of time. And I really like a clean website, but clean isn't necessarily what is so in at the moment. Jennifer has a company named IndieMade that provides websites that are very robust for artists. And I want to talk in generalities with her about what a website should look like. And she wants to ask you guys some questions. And then we want to talk about some specifics about websites also. So Jennifer, I've got everybody muted, but I can call on them. They can raise hands. They can unmute themselves. Before we do that, tell me how you got. How did you get to be in the web design business?
Well, it's a long story. Through trial and error, having related experience, and then I started up a few companies, creative companies. I was working as an artist, and I had a greeting card business and illustrated books, and I was always coming up against creating a website for a creative. But my background is in software consulting, and also software consulting to librarians. So I sold data services and software automation, library automation systems. So I was always talking about data and a good database and how important the structure is. And that really lends itself to website design and how websites are architected, basically. And then as I went through the process of building businesses and trying to develop different brands and characters, each of them needed their own website, and there was no good tool out there at the time to build a website on your own. It's basically Dreamweaver, PayPal. And so the idea for IndieMade was born, and it was a very simple idea to help artists who don't have the means to get a custom website, hire a designer, a programmer, or whatever, but give them all the tools that they need to compete, to have the right website content, to have it displayed appropriately, to have all those features. And so we developed, we use the content management system that we developed, and it's specifically set up for artists. So it has everything kind of all included. And
all right, hold on. Let's talk about the all included in a moment. Did you want to start it with asking questions?
Yeah, I just want to get a sense of. I remember I kind of looked through everybody's websites before I started thinking about the presentation, and I know a lot of you have websites. Is there anybody there that doesn't at this point, that's on the call?
Hold on, let me take a look. I'm sure there are. So I'm going to the website, I'm looking, and I don't know if all you guys have done this. If you go to the Klein-Artist-Works website and you click on testimonials, which is an odd place to stick it, then there's a link called community, and at community you can see all the people who do and don't have websites. Harry is working on his website. Mary Ann is here, and she doesn't, and I believe that everybody else who's here does. And to some extent, I think those of you who don't are in the proper, you don't have to redo it, you get to do it. So that might be a preferential situation. Regardless, almost all the people except one, Jennifer, have a website.
Okay. And for people who do have a website, what are some of the things that you're thinking about in terms of your website? What about this presentation? What questions come to mind that you might have about website design or infrastructure or any of that stuff? I just want to make sure I'm addressing the needs of as many of you as I can.
All right, so Perry has a comment. Perry, go ahead.
Oh, got to swallow my watermelon.
Sorry, dude. Wait a minute, Perry, let me come back to you. Hold on. Mark, go ahead. Mark?
Yeah, one thing that I think is important is to be able to have an easy interface to be able to update and put new artwork on daily or weekly or whatever, not have any hurdles there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, I mean, it's nice to have a usable website, but if it's not you who can use it, it's not as good as you want it to be. That's a good point. All right. Sarah Jo, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Jennifer. I have a few websites, actually. So I have a WordPress site that was set up that has my domain name still. But that's essentially like an archive now. That's because it was a version of WordPress that was the ability to update the images was complex enough the way the web person set it up, and it was set up in like 2008, I guess. And so since then, there's been, I mean, huge changes in that there are a lot of these artist sites that are kind of portfolio style driven. So I basically what I did was set up one in Verve. That's one of the ones. There's a number of them. I looked into a lot of them. And that's very easy to update. And I have right now just made that a kind of fine art site, so-called fine art site. But I have, I also work as a designer and illustrator and textile designer, so I wanted to really have a separate site for that, and that's where I am now, is trying to figure out, you know, which one to use. I mean, I started a Tumblr site, literally, to just do something that was easy to update for a different aspect. So maybe that's the question, is how you, I mean, how you handle having two different sides of something that you do.
I'm very familiar with that, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Donna, your turn.
Okay, well, I have a website, but it is so complicated to update it that since I launched it, I have never updated it, and my web designer moved back to Taiwan. So I just haven't done anything with it, and I really need to figure out how to get out of that or migrate everything to a website where I have the power to easily upload images. And when I created it, it was very hard to find something that wasn't prohibitively expensive to do.
Right.
So that's my issue.
Cool. All right. Perry, your turn. Perry, go ahead.
I can make the comment. You can also use blogs to update newest work. It's real easy to use a blog. And my question is, what we're dealing with now in my website update is navigation, like you suggested to me, Paul. Right. And I went through our list of artists in our workshop and suggested them to my designer, but she doesn't know what did they use, Google, or what is that other one where Sarah Jo just said it was, you know, what do you use to create navigation? So it's easy. So you don't have to go back to the home page with every image like I have set up on my site now, where you can have a list to scroll through. Is that too vague?
No, I understand. You want to you want to know how to easily set up navigation where it's a consistent navigation that is easy on your audience, basically?
Yes. Okay. So it'll load up quick, and so you don't have to go back to the main page where we have all the images
right
on the first page. I might change that to a second page or third, or I don't know.
Cool, Perry. Thank you. Tara, go ahead.
My day job, I work at a screen print shop, a t-shirt printing shop, and I am part of the marketing team, and I do pretty much all of the content creation for our inbound media efforts. So our website, you know, and I do all the visuals for that, and our website, you know, we focus so much on like driving traffic through search engine optimization, blogging. You know, we create content that people can download and all these things. And I wonder, how important is that for an artist site? Should it be more portfolio driven, or, you know, do you think like organic search traffic is valuable?
These are all really good questions, and I will talk about them, so that's awesome.
Tara, thanks. We've got a couple more people who've got hands up. Let me see. Okay. Larry, take your hand down if you can, okay? Larry, your turn.
Well, where I live, I live in Canada and I live in Quebec, so my website is in 2 languages. I would like to have something where I just click a button and it goes to the other language instead of having to have it kind of have both things on the screen all the time.
Okay.
Cool. John, take it away.
Yeah, maybe you can comment on some of the turnkey. I use Big Black Bag, and I'm wondering how it compares with other ones that might be on the market. It's, you know, I'm not excited by it, but it's practical, and you know, like some other comments, it's easy to load images up and put content on there and change galleries. And you know, I don't know if you know what your company's doing or what other vendors are, you know, providing this specifically for artists. I think that one's primarily for photographers, and I'm a sculptor, so it does have some limitations to me.
Cool. Thank you, John. I think that's it. Is there anybody I didn't call on that you can unmute yourself and ask? But I think that's it. Those of you who've got your hands up, take them down. Go ahead.
All right. I think I'm ready if you want me to take over the screen.
Oh, scary. I hate relinquishing control. It's all yours, darling.
All right, let me make sure I have nothing like scary up here. Okay.
I know, I have to do that every time.
Seriously. Okay. Who's got the dogs?
Me and me. I'm going to mute him.
Dog. It sounded like a dog.
I'm going to mute him.
Excuse me. I have to do the you know, the PowerPoint, and I think I've already talked about all of this. But we are a hosted content management system, just like many of the systems that you guys were mentioning, like Verve or the Big Black Bag, most of, you know, and also even WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr. They're all content management systems. They're built to support a user's content in a way that's easy for them to update and easy for them to work with. And it's like with a blog, the way that it's set up, and with any real content on a website, is that it's really set up with a database. So, so each content management system is usually kind of specified for different types of uses. And we can talk about that as I move forward. So what I want to cover is basically the anatomy of a website. Most of you guys will know that, so we'll just fly through some of this stuff. Considerations before you start a website project, website content, what is good website design, and what a website home might look like, content management systems in general, and features for your website, and then how are we publishing the website. So this is a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about. This is moving my, excuse me. Can everybody see that, the basic anatomy of a website? You can't, I can't ask questions. Sorry, never mind. The anatomy.
I see a rainbow.
Oh, I can hear you? Okay, I'm like, I need to see this.
Yeah, no, but I can mute and unmute people. I got to get rid of the dog. But, you know, I mean, if we unmute everybody, there'll be echo. But, you know, we can call on people or ask as you go. Go ahead.
Okay. So the first thing is the domain name. And actually, I've talked to you about it, Paul. You know, if you don't have a domain name, I assume all of you have a domain name. And if you don't own your name, try to own it. Or try to own a very close close to your name, maybe artwork after your name or something like that. But I think for an artist, especially fine artists, it's really important to kind of own your domain, own your name. And there are many ways to do it. And I always recommend getting a domain name separate from any web hosting that you decide to do, or separate from everything, because it basically, with a domain name, you want to register it for as long as you can, and that's for SEO. And if you can, also get email from the same person. That way you're not kind of all, you're more in charge of that, and that never changes, whereas you might decide to move around in terms of your hosting accounts. And I think that's going to be more the norm moving forward. The second part of the website is the content, and that's everything about you. You know, logos, if you have like a graphical logo for your name or business, photos, words, any legacy content, you know, dates, future dates, events calendar, something like that. So all that content. And then the yellow rounded rectangle is software or features. And these are all the things that, all the functions that you would want you would want a content management system to do, or a software package to do for you. And we'll talk about what's necessary and what's good ideas, and it really depends on a number of things. And then hosting, I kind of put a bunch of different things in there, but it really should be called services. And that's your hosting of your website, that's support. You don't want your web designer moving to Taiwan, where she said he moved, but you know, you want to have technical support if you need it. And you also want somebody who will update your software. And I think Sarah Jo pointed out something really interesting, is that she had, you know, she has probably a really old version of WordPress out there, and you know, content management systems are software. They're rapidly changing, and they're always being added, scaled. You know, there's always stuff going on, and they're always adding updates for different browsers. So, you know, for instance, in IndyMan, we test IndyMan in every single browser. We want to make sure it works everywhere. So that's, you know, they're always throwing out patches and updates to the software, and that might even include a feature or two. And then the last thing, which I'll discuss, is basic design of a website, how it's structured, you know, the navigation that you use, how easy it is for people to get in and access the information they want. A banner, we'll talk about that, and like the palette you choose and the font you choose. So there's a lot of different pieces kind of went to the design of a website. And all of you have probably heard this before. I'm guessing you all know that a website, even though it's about you, it's really not about you.
Let me get your phone. You go right ahead. Just leave it like it is.
Oh, there's somebody. Okay, sorry. And then your website should be on your own domain name, and we talked about that. Your website will never be done. It will never be perfect. It's always going to be a work in progress. And you'll always adjust it based on the kind of art that you're pursuing, or that you're interested in at the time, that you're working on at the time. You know, things will be changed as you go. And your website needs text. So Paul alluded to this, that, you know, I happen to really like sparse websites, but guess what? In order to get found in search, you need text. So all those images that you put up, you need to actually tell the database what that image is, and it's called alt text. So we'll get into that too. This is, I think, one of the most important slides, and people often forget to really consider what you're trying to get out of a website, because I bet you with all of the people here participating, that everybody has a slightly different goal in mind. And so I can't really, you know, what's the best website for artists? It depends on who you're going after. Are you going after gallery shows? Are you going after getting an agent? What are you trying to do? Do you want to sell your work from your website? Do you just want to have a really nice online portfolio for prospects to look at? You know, what is it? Do you want a job? You know, what kind of information? And that's going to actually inform what kind of information you have on the site. And all of these questions will also inform the design that you take, and like how many people you're trying to talk to. And and then the second part of this is really think that when you go into a website project or changing or updating your website, you really need to consider your audience and who might hire you, who buys your work, who shows your work, who might buy or show your work. and really think about like the demographics where people live, like what kind of work appeals to them. Why does your work appeal to them, your existing buyers, your existing collectors, or what could it be? And I always say, don't be afraid to ask, because that's the only way you're going to know. I also ask customers when I was doing when I was showing is, you know, what I always kind of found out what got to them about my work. You know, like what was the thing? Because it's not always what you think. You know, it's always left to interpretation. It's kind of nice to get that feedback when putting a website together. Any marketing materials, really. So what is website content? All of you guys know this. Anything, basically. It's text, images, video, audio, anything that tells your story, describes what you do, and it's on your website. That's content, okay? Obviously, for an artist, you have some ready-made content, I'm sure. You have your work images, credentials, maybe affiliations, your statement. Maybe you have a show calendar or a gallery calendar of openings and events that you're participating in. I'm sure some of you have gotten press that you want to show, or the reviews you have. If you have any interviews of yourself, you might consider a video, or, you know, it really depends on what your goals are. Like if you're going in kind of a professional, maybe presenter, arts expert capacity, you're probably going to want a headshot. I mean, it really depends on what you want to do with your website. And that also applies to Sarah Jo. Now, for each of her websites, I think it's very smart, actually, to have different websites with different objectives. If you are trying to address so many audiences with one website, it's not always great, even though it might be better for search engine optimization because all of your content's on your site. It is not better for getting the message across. So that would be like, it would have to be like a discussion, you know, thinking about who it's going to be and who you're trying to attract. I'm just going to give you a basic design tips, and over the years with websites I've done, and because I've done all the things that you shouldn't do. So unclever everything. Get really unclever and don't overthink the website design. Don't overthink it. And your website is not your artwork, and so that's I actually worked with an artist who wanted all sorts of bizarre navigation, and I want to do this. Well, I'm like, what do you want to do here? What's your goal? You know, do you want to sell work? Do you want to get people to your events? What do you want to do? You know, and it turned out that he didn't really want all that crazy navigation. He liked the idea, the opportunity of doing a website that was cool, but at the end of the day, his goal was very different than what he was doing with his website. The design should not compete with the artwork, meaning I always go with really, and I get to this neutral backgrounds. I go with white, I go with black and white, gray, really simple stuff, because especially if you use a lot of colors with your work, or you have different mediums of work, you don't want anything else on that screen that might compete or distract somebody from your artwork, because that's the show. You know, that's what's there. That's why you have a website. Also, you don't want to force audio onto somebody, like meaning you don't want to force an experience. You don't want to force their experience because it's really about them. It's not about you. It's not about what music you like. It's about how are they interpreting? Because your artwork might be totally, like how they take your artwork might be something completely different from how when you created, or you didn't even realize that was speaking in that way. And you don't need to put everything you've ever done on your website. I think it's a really important thing to be selective and keep it easy and simple. So we talked about a neutral layout, a cohesive layout, meaning from one page to another, does it look the same? I've been at websites where it's like, I go over here, and they actually try to embed a shopping cart thing here, and then over here, it's like my little Facebook thing, and you know, there's a lot of things going on. And I think for an artist in particular, you want a really consistent and cohesive page design from one page to another. also something, there are so many websites that still exist that are like 700 pixels across or maybe 800 pixels across. The technology's there now to have like really, that you could really use great the screen space now, you know, in the some of the portrait formats. I mean, there's some, it's really important to use that screen space because you've got their eyeballs. What are you going to do with it? Consistent navigation portfolios, slideshow. So if you are going to have your portfolios in there, which I assume all of you will do that, you want an easy mechanism for scrolling through your portfolio in different genres or however you've categorized your work. You also want to post your pertinent information like the bio, the artist statement, things that somebody might want right away just to quickly take down. Let's say if they're doing let's say it's a journalist and they want to do a piece of, they want to do an article on you, they want to get to that right away. You don't want to like confuse them and put it, you know, you want it all to be laid out really easy, really like right there, front, first and foremost. And then you also want the website to be really fast. The faster the better, milliseconds count. I mean, it's crazy, but you want to be, you want to have a very fast website. You want to get a really good hosting plan. So those free plans, those free website hosting accounts, not so good. Many of the artists that I work with kind of have a web presence that looks something like this, where they might have a Blogger blog or a Tumblr blog, which is the shared blog. They might have a gallery representing them, and they might be part of that website. You know, so they're not really getting full airtime there. They might have a static or outdated website. They might have a shared portfolio site. I mean, even Flickr. You know, people use all sorts of methods to get their work out that are inexpensive. You might have audio and video websites that you have video content or any audio content that you need. And then I'm not going to list all the social profiles, but, you know, I know artists that just post their pictures to Facebook. And then, you know, there's no place to like go back to where you are. You know, there's no place for somebody to really interact with you and your brand. And so, you know, my idea for a website is to have everything together on your site, at least for one genre of work. It's easy for your audience. It's better for search engine optimization. It's easy for you to manage. It looks professional. It's streamlined. There's no more kind of random acts of marketing like, oh, I'm going to post that to Facebook, but I forgot to update this thing over here, or you know, I have a little shopping cart over here. You know, it's basically all together on one site. And all in all, it's just a much better deal to have it together. The next thing is, what features do you need to achieve what you want to do? And the number one thing I think for visual artists is to have a portfolio of work, showcases your range, maybe in a number of galleries. The other piece of this that you may want to consider is blog content. And I know that a lot of visual artists aren't necessarily jumping into that right away, but I think if you're looking for search engine, you know, and getting content on your website in a really easy way is to just kind of keep a blog. And blog posts don't need to be very long. They can be 300 to 800 words. I mean, they could be like even small. I mean, they could be really short. Just be consistent. And then if you do want to sell your work, you want a store that has that supports the kind of business that you do. So, and you know, the ability to categorize things, to run reports. You know, you want to have a full store in there with a customer list and, you know, all that stuff. And then you want a place to put your news or your press clippings. You want a calendar of your gallery events or, you know, shows you're doing. We talked about easy navigation, but also, you know, that your website has a sitemap, and that's part of search engine optimize. You know, that the website, the architecture is set up for search, and what that means is it has special content for just the search engines and the metadata. And if anybody is interested in going deeper into that later, I'm happy to do that. But another key thing now, even for search optimization, is to have your social profiles linked, but more importantly, it's that on every single piece of data, every single item, every single piece of artwork, every little piece on your website one record in the database can be shared on your visitors' social networks. And that's where we get into amplification, because it's kind of like, well, as soon as I'm done, let's say, posting a new gallery, I share it to my Facebook profile or my Twitter account or whatever you're using for social media. And, you know, there's a lot of social media out there, including blogs and, you know, art-specific community blogs and art-specific blogs. It's really important to have that social piece, because you actually gain rankings in search based on your clout, your credibility on social platforms. And then the other thing that you want to do, the best tool I found to kind of see how you're doing, to see how your website's doing and how it's behaving for you based on what your goals are, is you want to be able to integrate Google Analytics. I think that's a really important feature. And then also the ability to change, add, update, anything. And I think everybody's addressed that's an important feature to you too. But, you know, not everybody wants all of these things. It really depends on what your goals are. So, what INI made is a content management system, and it's a web application designed to make it easy for non-technical users to add, edit, and manage a website. I just thought, I saw it on the Plone website. I just thought it was really articulate and to the point. And so it really is just several databases of that hold your content. It only supplies the content online when the page is requested. And I can get into all the nitty-gritty, but I will not. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of these open source platforms like Drupal, WordPress we've heard of, Joomla, and there are many, many, many others that are both open source and proprietary. So when we talk about, we go back to the anatomy of a website, we talk about what you're responsible for and what you can get with a hosted CMS. Somebody have a question?
Hold on, let me see. I'm looking for hands. While Jennifer's inhaling and relaxing, it's 2 seconds.
Paul?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. It's Dana.
Hi, Dana.
I don't think we can raise our hands when we're viewing someone else's screen. I think that option is not with us, or it's at least not with me.
That's totally possible. So you guys can, but you can unmute yourself as you did, right, Dana?
I did, and I have several questions.
Okay, cool. So if they're appropriate at this time, go ahead and start firing.
I think they might be, and let me say, when I first logged on, my connection was rotten and a lot of content got frozen up, so I apologize if I'm asking a question that already got asked. But my first one is, my dream would be that somebody who really knows how to build a website, like Jennifer, would make it for me and put all of my content that I provide to that person into it, but then that they would explain to me how I can keep it updated myself. So when I get a flash at 2 in the morning of something I want to do on my website, I can get up and do it by myself. Is that a practical way to expect I might?
That's a great way. And in fact, a lot of people start out with getting kind of a, where they'll hire our services to create kind of their look, you know, in regards to their content, and we'll upload all their content. And we have services, but it's not like hiring an independent entity to, you know, design a website from scratch. We can design it based on some templates that we use, and we just basically are designing graphical elements and uploading your content in a way that we think would be usable and good for your audience. But, you know, it's basically, you know, you can do it yourself, and you can also hire people to help you on a content management system. Obviously, there are plenty of designers that will get your website set up in WordPress and train you to use it. But if you're looking for some of these other features, you might want to get a content management system that is built for all of these things that you need, like not only a blog, but, you know, has really good image galleries and portfolios and, you know, that kind of thing. So you want to consider everything that you're going to need in a website.
Right. I would need even a professional to tell me what all those considerations are. Are you in Chicago, or will we get contact information for you so that we can contact you after the webinar?
I am in Chicago, actually. many years in and around, well, now I'm in the suburbs, but yeah, I am in the Chicago area. We are a Chicago-based company, but we are with customers around the world. So, so this is, you saw the initial home for a website is to have everything on there, okay? So the idea is not to stop talking to social platforms or to multiple sites, but it's a way to integrate so the conversation starts and ends on your website. So what you're doing is you're generating content on your website and you're sharing it on platforms. But the starting place is on your website.
Sounds great. I'm excited to call you after the webinar.
Let's see if I can get that screen. Okay, I have two options on here and my graphics are fading. Here we go. Oop, oop. Okay. So anyway, there are lots of variations in between, but this is a little bit of kind of the components and pieces you need to think about depending on what route you take. You're always going to be, I strongly recommend, again, that you're in charge of your domain and that you don't let your web hosting company keep it. There's just so much more flexibility that way. So in both solutions here, I'm suggesting that you register your domain. And then your content, you're still, even if you want somebody to kind of like organize your content, you still need to think about your content because you're the only one who can do that and you're the only one that can come up with the goals for the website. So those responsibilities are kind of going to always be there for you regardless of the road that you decide on. With a custom piece, you know, you might have to hire a lot of different people. Sometimes they all kind of work together, but it's, you know, a web designer, somebody who, if you're going to do any custom programming or development, or even if you're using a non-hosted CMS where you're installing, let's say, the WordPress platform and you're having a web designer fix it for you, you know, you still have to work with all those people and sign up for hosting. When you are working with a hosted content management system, it's really easy to just sign up and it's like you're done. And I'm going to take you guys through like what a content management system looks like and all that fun stuff. And really the time investment for me, this is a real critical thing for me, especially when I was kind of figuring out if I wanted to pursue a brand that I was developing or a product I was developing. I'd want to kind of spin up a website and see what kind of reaction I had. And Sarah Jo, I think this is also good for you, is that, you know, you may end up, you know, doing different things for, you know, your different, let's say, your different kinds of work. It's nice that it's an you know, you can do this now. Now do-it-yourself hosting CMS is like totally out there and is easily had. So, you know, the cost is just not that significant anymore. And then your monthly hosting fee, and I think some of you are very familiar with the changes and additions. You know, if you've got to pay a designer or programmer to change anything, you know, it can cost a lot of money. So, all right. So guys, do you guys want to see some websites?
Yay.
Yay. It's my daughter. All right. The first thing I'm going to show you my website, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to, a dirty little secret. This website is for past intellectual property that I've developed and sold or licensed, okay? And I don't have any goals for it. So you won't see any real reason to the website except for that I wanted a place to kind of archive things for now because I'm not really working on this stuff. But I just wanted to show you how it's structured and what it looks like. And I think I do a good job with certain elements here. And that would be to include the things that are important to me. And so if I start over here on the left, we have, you know, the portfolio of the things that I've done. And then this would be like anyone's gallery or galleries of image. You can have different genres, sections of your portfolio here. And then you can also sort images in your portfolio via tags. And so let's just go into the toys here. This is a toy that I invented a few years back. They're nesting plush toys, but they eat each other. And some things you'll notice right here is that you'll see the ability to zoom, like if it's a bigger image. In this case, it's not, but you have the ability to, if you load a large image, it's not going to like serve up that large image. It's going to create a decent size, appropriately sized image. And then you notice at the very bottom, I can share to all sorts of different social platforms if I really like this shot here. Let's see here. I can navigate back there, or I can navigate back to maybe greeting card brands that I did when I had the greeting card company. Or I can do, this is all the creative stuff. You can embed video on a website, and again, this isn't organized very well, but you see what I'm talking about. So it's nice to have this, and you can actually embed media from, you know, any audio site, video site, whatever you want to do. And then press awards, I'll put reviews there at some point, like where your shows, where your artwork's been mentioned. You know, it's really nice to have that up there. And then, so if I go to, you know, you can add a lot of extra pages on here if you want. Different ways of getting through, you know, landing page, about us, world of Peterson. Okay, so the next website I'm going to take you to is a jewelry artist. Actually, she's local too. And her primary focus, her goal right here is to have a store. And she also showcases some of her older works. And she calls her gallery section collections. And so she's got all of her different collections here. And you'll notice that this website is set up differently, right, than the website that I just showed you. These are on different themes or templates. Well, one thing you'll notice.
These are both indie-made websites?
Yeah, these both are indie-made websites.
IndieMade's your company, right?
IndieMade is my company, and these are customers of ours, real live customers. I know the websites because I obviously live and breathe our customer website. So this is so right here we have different collections of items. And, you know, other content managers have this kind of, you know, movement between slides. And you'll notice that this right here in this particular theme, the image changes based on the size of the image, that it holds the entire image in the screen. So you'll just make a decision based on what kind of work you have about, you know, will inform what kind of theme you choose. And then she's got an about section, which is all about her and what she does. She has a blog. Kind of cool. And so on and so forth. She also has locations where her work is sold and a link to her wholesale catalog. So, you know, it can be as many pieces of really any features that you need, you can just turn on. And hosted content management systems are like that. It's like you decide what you're going to need, and then that's what you can put on your website. And they supply like the layout, the theme layout. They supply the infrastructure, the architecture, the navigation, the usability, and also they organize your data in a way that search engines understand. They supply the metadata, all the things that you don't want to have to think about, a hosted content management system will do for you. Here's another website. And you can plug in little plugins if you want. This is their store. And this is my demo site. I'll show you a new theme that we're working on that I like a lot. So it's all landscape here.
Do you have an artist website you can show us that has, you know, different large-scale works of art, sculpture, or painting?
Yeah.
That's a weird piece.
Yeah, this is all photography of his. This is his piece. It's as large as a what's it called? It's the backwards version of the toll road signs, and so he's got some really large things in here. There are themes that will span across here actually that are going to be released soon too. So you've got the whole space. But do you see how my navigation stays the same at the bottom?
Right.
And the way that he decided to organize his portfolio was via year. And these are some of his bigger installations. And again, you can zoom. You can even get bigger if it's a really high resolution if you want. I don't recommend doing that, but you have that ability. Again, this is a neutral background, and if you decide to go with a dark background, don't go true black. So you want it to be something where your artwork is popping out, and he really wanted to have this kind of a banner image. And then I have a link out to his reader story.
Jennifer, I think we have maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes max remaining. So I think, okay. Yeah. So I want to hone in on the most important things.
Okay. Okay. So what I want to do is just really take you to what kinds of things are the back end, the dashboard. Would you think that's important, Paul?
I think we need to do two things. I think we need to show efficiently how your website works, and then I think we need to take questions about whatever people want to ask.
Great. Okay, so this is, you guys, this is the back end of petersaw.com, that website of mine that has no goals or trying to do anything. And so, but it's a good website to use that has content. And what I want to do is once you log into your website, and let me show you where that is. Once you log into your website, it's right at the bottom. You log in, and you'll have access to your dashboard, which is right at the bottom. Okay? Once you get into your website, it's separated into 4 different areas of navigation. Those are the top level, top tier navigation. The first being website, and that's going to be your settings, your connections, your promoting, all that stuff, just your basic website settings. Design. And this is where I go to design the banner or whatever fonts I'm going to choose. The colors, what colors I'm using for text and background and all that fun stuff. And then you'll see that this is different from website because a different secondary shows up. This is how I want the screen to navigate. And this is interesting for people who do have all sorts of modules or databases on their website. You can name your store whatever you want. You can name your blog whatever you want. You can name your news whatever you want. In my case, I just wrote press and awards. You can name your events or your calendar whatever you want, and then galleries. And each of these modules are set up to manage that specific kind of data. And then below that is going to be your landing page, what you choose to be the home page for your website. And you can actually change this up as you want to. Like with Petersaw, I can scroll through all these different websites. And the one cool thing here is the themes. So I can change the Petersaw theme really easily.
Can you change it back once you've changed it and have it be the way it was without?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I made crazy colors in here so you can see the difference between what I just did. See, I have very odd cartoons. But these are the cartoons. This is how this particular theme works. And then I can go back in the dashboard right here to get back there. So you can choose with these different themes and then play around within the context of the theme too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in store because in Computer Cell there are no products, but I will show you that. But basically you can also sell digital files. I don't know if any of you do any training or do anything that you sell content for, but you can also sell digital things. And then content is where you'll spend most of your time as an artist, a visual artist. You'll have galleries, and that's where you add a gallery. And what I would do here is I would add my gallery, and I would say, just say that. And then if I want to describe it really well, you probably want to do that if you have a group of work that works together. And then down the bottom, if you want to go crazy, you can actually fill in the metadata right here, but I won't bother you with all that right now. And so now once I have a gallery, then I can upload images. My computer, I think because of the, let's see.
Can you talk a little bit about metadata?
Yeah. Let me find, hold on one second. I'm going to go digging in my computer here. Okay, sorry. These are the random pictures that I had put in the right place, but I didn't believe myself that I put them in the right place and had to look everywhere else for them before I found them in the right place because I had them organized. But anyway, so I'm just going to select a few things here, and I will talk about metadata. And my computer is acting very fidgety. I'm sure all of you understand that with the WebEx thing on the computer here. Let's see. That one. Okay, so what this does, it gives you a preview of your image. And in every case with images, and this kind of pertains to the metadata too, you want to make sure you have a title and caption as necessary to describe the work in your galleries. So okay, so I've got this all organized here, and all I have to do is save it. And I've got now this really cool gallery. So anybody who comes to petersell.com will be very confused. But I've got this all set up here. And again, in this particular theme, you'll see the sharing icons are smaller below. Now with the metadata, if I want to have the metadata set up, let's see, I'm going to edit my gallery, and then, okay, so there's a ton of information on our website with SEO, so I'll do very general information regarding search engine optimization. But basically, each item in your website you want to have it described. So even if it's an image, you want to use text to describe it. And in this case, I would type in, this is called a rich text editor, which I think all of you know. And for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry too much about this stuff right now, because search engines are pretty smart now. They can tell if you're trying to scam them or not. With a rich text editor, you can actually change to use the different meta HTML that you need to. So you can put in H1 tags. You can put keywords in here, and then a meta description, and that's the little piece that shows up for the search engine. The meta description is very important. Meta keywords, not so much. It used to be a long time ago, but not so much. But if I want to describe this gallery with an image or a video, kind of introducing the work, I can do that here. But once I put an image into the description, I will I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the alternate text. You're going to want to make sure that you fill in what that image is. And we talked about all that. I'm not going to upload this, but news. And also with the way things are ordered in your gallery, you can manage the images. You can go in and say, well, I don't want this as my thumbnail. I really want the Peggy license plate as the thumbnail, and I really want to lead with that. So then you can reorder your galleries, you can reorder your store, you can add other categories and tags.
Should we take some questions, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Can we stop sharing? I'm having you be the presenter. I'm taking it back.
Yep, take it back.
Oops, what did I do? I took it back and gave it back. Oh, stop. All right, I got it here. All right, you guys, if you have, raise your hands if you've got questions, and I will call on you. You know, what I like particularly about IndieMade as opposed to other artists' packaged website things that I've seen are two. One is that it is, I don't know which one's more important. One is that it's more robust, that there are more things that you can do with it than I am aware that you can do on other websites or with other websites. And two is that there's more variety. So that I used to like other people's pixels, but now every time I look at someone who has a website with other people's pixels, it looks pretty much the same as everybody else. And I go, oh, they're trying to be economical and save money and do their website with other people's pixels. I don't think that's the first thing you want somebody thinking. I think you want them going, ooh, nice work of art. You know, and thinking about your website. And with IndieMade, there are enough variables that I think you all get to be unique. Lynn, do you have a question? Take it away.
Yeah, I kind of like my website, and but I think it could be better. I think it could be faster. Is there a way to like buy a script to get a shopping cart or to get like those little Facebook icons at the bottom? I know HTML and I can sort of plug things in, but I don't want to spend a lot more time learning. But is there like something you recommend for just getting a shopping cart set up or just adding a Facebook?
Are you using any content management system, or is it just straight HTML?
I use Dreamweaver and I designed it and I manage it with just looking at the code and uploading that way.
Okay, and you're comfortable with how it's being seen in search and all that fun stuff?
Well, yeah, because I have no record of who sees it or not, but sometimes people see it, I think. But, I mean, it would be nice to optimize it more, but I don't want to redo it, is where I'm going with this. I like the way it looks.
I could do your website, or anybody's website you can actually do with it, as long as you've got existing content. And I'm just saying, I don't know this to be true for other content managers, but with us, your website spits up in 2 minutes. If you have all your content ready to go, you would be done in an hour. And then it would be properly formatted. My problem with like my websites that I did with Dreamweaver, and I'm not at all knocking it. And also to answer your question, there are plenty, I'm sure there are plenty of little shopping cart applications that you can find, but I'm not an expert at those. You know, there are shopping cart plugins that I know you can use. I'm not a big fan of plugins because the content isn't hosted on your website and you don't get credit for those products. So let's say, let's say you're on Etsy, which some of you guys might know, it's for handmade. It's more of a crafter profile, more of an artisan type profile. But you know, you're not in charge. When you're in a shared platform, you're not in charge. And so so hosting your cart content somewhere else, that always troubles me because that's a really big portion of what your content is. If you're selling your artwork, those things are going to be described, they're going to be tagged, they're going to be organized, and they should be if you want to be showing up in search. And there are a lot of other things you can do with products, like with Google and all that stuff, but I won't do that. But I'm sure there's plugins that you can use, and I'm sure that one of the applications that we like using for social sharing is called Share This. And you can plug and play. Another thing I would do for your website is to actually put Google Analytics code on your website. It will start answering questions to where people go and how they're using your website.
How do you do that?
Go to Google Analytics. All of Google's website tools are free. So I have a Gmail account because I also like using Google Pages for the company. So I open a Gmail account for that reason. And then I open, you want to open an AdWords account, Google AdWords. And I can tell you all the tools I use for all this stuff, which I'm not going to overload you right now. But Google Analytics is the key to kind of decide where to go from where you are if you want that information. You know, like if you want to say, okay, well, they're just leaving, you know, that would be really good information to have. And so Google Analytics, you plug in a little code on every page, which is kind of a pain in a content management system. Generally, if they integrate with analytics, not all of them do. I'm not sure who else does actually. You just plug that into the dashboard. Did you see that when I showed it? You just the place for the code. You just plug it in there, and it's done. And same with your social. If you want to put your profiles on there, you can have your links to your social profiles too. You just plug it in, then it shows up on all your pages automatically. So in terms of moving forward for you, you may consider going content management. I think it would save you a lot of headache because I've actually done what you're doing, but if you feel very comfortable managing HTML, which I didn't, you know, good for you because that's not easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy for me. So anyway, you know, and you have a lot more, you can get into the code too and really break up the HTML too. So.
Thanks.
Okay, Ann, you have a question. Go ahead and ask it. Ann. Great, I unmuted you so you could do it. Did you remute yourself? You did. No, you didn't. Go ahead, Ann. Maybe she doesn't have a voice. I'm going to ask her a question. She wanted to know, how do you get to the top of a Google search?
A lot of time and money. No, it's either time or money when it comes to search engine optimization. There are search engine optimization is work, and first you should be organically getting your name. Again, that's your website name, and if you are on a proper website system platform, you should be coming up first for your name. That should happen automatically. But if you're looking to rank or it be the search engine results page. It's called SERP, search engine results page. If you want a decent place, if you want to rank, you need to do a lot of work, and that really has to do with content and everything that, was it Dana? Tara. That Tara does. It's really about getting the content and then using social engines, becoming a content marketing platform. And again, the resources on our website, on indiemade.com, we've got tons of free resources on all that stuff. Feel free to kind of look at that. We also have a lot of resources for fine artists, too. So.
Cool. You know, if I had to do my website over again, I'd probably do it with you as opposed to doing it myself, because, you know, you are staying on top of what's going on with websites and website development and software and hardware, and I'm not. And for me to stay current, it's a whole lot more effort than you to stay current and provide it to me. Sarah Jo, you have a question. Take it away.
Hi. Thanks, Jennifer. My question is about, you were starting to say this to someone else who was asking you about if you migrated, like for my domain name site now, which is the one I mentioned before that has sort of not been really changed since 2009. I also really like the design of it. I mean, I designed it and it's very simple and straightforward, but I can really see what I would want to add to that now. And so if, you know, and I'm totally capable of, you know, creating the images and having all that ready. So I'm curious if there's any way that you, either now or if I sort of did this after the session, approached you and said, well, can you give me an estimate? Here's what I have, and I'd have you look at the site and say, you know, here's what I need to do with it. I'd want to put it into, as I mentioned, it was WordPress. So I just want it into some kind of a system, either yours or something else, that makes it, you know, makes it integrated, and probably the content management, probably is putting it into a content management system, but with pretty much the look that I have. So if that's even possible, and roughly what that would cost. That's my question.
Well, they're talking about a hybrid, which many artists and independent, you know, small entrepreneurs do. They have their content. They know they want it on a content management system, but they want a custom look to the website, or they really like the look of their website, but they want it to be powered by another engine. That's totally, we have another part of the company that does that. We do that, custom websites where it's completely custom, but to get like the $12 a month price tag, which is what we don't charge any upfront cost to IndieMade, you then personalize the template that you're working with. In your case, if you like simple, you want to kind of dumb it down. Whose screen is that?
Mine. But it shows your pricing.
Right.
You can scroll down too.
You guys can look at this later. It's under pricing or plans on the IndieMade website. Let me stop doing that, and I'm trying to remember, we had another question. John.
Yeah, I was just, you know, you just answered my questions. Obviously, like Paul said, yours is very robust. The other thing that just struck me was how fast your images loaded. And
oops, John, I muted you by mistake. You were saying how fast the images loaded, and then I killed it.
Yeah.
That was slow, by the way.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you loaded up my website, even on this right now, it'd be interesting to compare how that works. And I'm on Big Black Bag's content management system, but it'd be interesting to see how quickly it loads compared to what you have.
Also, that, you know, with Jennifer's website, we're going through WebEx, I'd have to say it slows it down 100%. So that if you think it's quick, it'd be a whole lot quicker than what you actually experience.
Because what happens when you load information into our platform, we actually optimize all the images for you, and we put them into the right size. So let's say if you don't have time to roll your images through, let's say, what's called Bridge, Adobe Bridge, which is what I do for my images. If I've got really huge ones and I need to share them, not on our platform, I will, you know, you got to do a lot of that. We don't have to do that stuff. I mean, you don't want crazy big images, but you want, you know, you don't want to have to worry about summing all of your images or worrying about the size that they are. You want to make sure that they just get optimized on upload. And so that's one cool thing. And there's a lot of I mean, the problem I have with giving demos of our products is that there's a lot of moving parts and it seems complicated. So we're trying to walk that fine line of simplicity, yet complex enough to manage a wide variety of people, you know, to kind of handle. And the thing about our content modules, the individual databases, if you don't use them, you don't have to turn them on. So, you know, you just use what you need. You get everything at every plan, but you just use what you need. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Cool. All right, Mia. Ask your question. Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. This is great.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi. So I just created a website with Folio Link, which is, you know, it's really helpful because I was struggling with everything. But you had said to, I think, Mary Jo, about having several sites. It's not a good idea or good idea. I only have this one site, but I really love the design layout of your site, especially for the idea of selling things. Is there any way to link things, or would I have to, I own my own domain name. Is it better to create another sort of personality name or something completely separate, or to link something to have another website that would be kind of like in a different theme or subject? So you have a fine arts website and then you have one that is more about selling things. Is it possible?
Why are you sold? Have you committed to Folio Link in terms of financial commitment? I'm not really familiar with them, so.
Yeah, I mean, I already uploaded all my images, and it's fairly easy. It doesn't look quite as yours is, I think, a little more straightforward, but it has pretty much the same possibilities, but there is an upfront fee, so you have it for a year, you know. But it's really, compared to anything else, nicely designed, and the content, it's easy to upload the content. But I like your site as well, and I just see it as a sort of a different, almost like a different persona, or using that more for selling. So
this is, depending on what, you see, the thing is like, what do you want to do with the site? You know, like what do you want to do? Do you want to show a range of work? Do you want to sell your work? Is it the same kind of work that you show? Is that all, I mean, do you sell smaller pieces online? Like what, you would need to define like your audience and what you want to do with it to determine whether or not you want one or two websites. So you can import your products and images into IndieMade. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you can import all that product data. So if you have, I don't know if Folio Link has a shopping cart, but as long as you can put it in an Excel spreadsheet, we can upload the content for you and then actually pull the images off another website. Basically, we just, you know, going to the website, linking and pulling. So there are lots of ways to kind of handle that. I would need to know, I would need to look at your data to see what you have and what it looks like, and then I could determine whether or not we could do it as part of the package or we'd have to do something custom. I would have to look.
I think we need to wrap this up, Jennifer. I've got some loaded questions to ask you. Your PowerPoint, are you comfortable sharing that? Can you send it to me so I can send it to everybody, or do you want to hold it? Yes?
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to post it on my website. Is that cool?
Yeah, but then send me a link so that I can share it with everybody too, okay? How do you feel about people contacting you in theory because they're interested about IndieLink, but perhaps they're most interested in themselves? Can they contact you, or what should we do?
They can contact me.
How should they contact you?
They can contact me via email, and it's jrapp@indiemade.com.
jrapp@indiemade.com. Did I spell that right?
Yep. And if you guys have particular questions, another thing is on the, you saw on the navigation on our homepage, the very last icon on the right, or the last navigation says resources. And literally we have resources on every topic for owning an arts business, you know, owning your own brand, your business, and how to handle things, just totally online and off. So you'll see a wide range of resources there, and I I think they're pretty helpful. So.
I see one more question that Agnieszka had that I didn't see her hand up. I'm letting her ask it. Go ahead.
I just have a question about the extra pages. What does that mean? Does that mean you get an extra website or?
No, it means individual pages on your site. So let's say you have special content that's not going to be taken care of with the gallery database or not going to be taken care of with the store database, you know, and I didn't get into that. I mean, the store database, we actually use, it's a really robust shopping cart engine, so you can actually do a lot of stuff with the store, and I didn't get into that, like lots of alternate images and descriptions and blah, 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 blah. So if your content doesn't rest there, if it's not described as an event, if it's not really like something you can put in a microblog like for your press releases or your press mentions, and it's not really like, so let's say it's just an about us statement, that's where you might use a page. So your artist statement, I would put that on a separate page. So, you know, just very simple text things with maybe one image would be on a page. But otherwise, everything else should be in one of those content databases, one of those modules.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I might just sign up with IndieMade to use your store. And just direct some of my sales to you.
And guys, if you are like Paul and you have content, video content, you could sell, well, not video content, but certainly audio content, and depends how big the files are. And a lot of our customers are designers, and they're teachers of design, and let's say they design certain kind of jewelry. They'll actually have tutorials and patterns and stuff that they sell in PDF through their store. So you can actually put some of your content and sell little ebooks if you want. I actually do that. I put together a book that came out earlier this year about creative writing and essay writing, and we sell PDF copies, we sell hard copies, and everything through the website. So it's pretty cool.
Let me wrap this up. I like Jennifer because I think she's got great energy, and I like her product because I think it's really robust and does a good job, and it has enough difference so that everybody gets to be unique. I met her, I think, at the end of March at this conference. What was it? It was like
Creative Chicago Expo.
Yeah, this Creative Chicago Expo at the Cultural Center. She had a booth there with her husband showing off IndieMade, and we talked. And you know, I guess what I'm part of saying is I don't know that Chicago Creative Expo was worthwhile or not. But it might have been, because I met Jennifer, and at least one good thing came out of that. I'm gladly sharing it with you guys. So I think that there's a lot with web design, and I think it's difficult to remain current, and I think IndieMade does a good job, and I think Jennifer's accessible and capable of sharing that enthusiasm and wisdom with you guys. So, Jennifer, yay! Thank you very much. Everybody is now unmuted so that they can echo the same thing.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Please contact me, and I know I covered a lot of ground, so I'm sure you guys have nitty-gritty questions too. So.
All right, fabulous. Hold on, I want to say one more thing.